Hello everyone, this is Jason from ShySnake. I'm going to talk now about some of the genetic enhancements and the medicals of spy DNA. So one of the things we talked about in the damage descriptions was all the ways your character can get hurt and all the horrible things that can do in terms of making your character less functional. Now we'll talk about some of the things that help mitigate that problem, at least for you. Most NPCs, if not all NPCs, will not be so well equipped. So it was very clear from early on just how lethal the combat is in this game. And as a result, one of the things we wanted to do is provide more survivability for the player characters to somewhat offset that. The way we did that is one of the ways we did that was introduce genetic modifications for the characters. So for example, I'm going to go through a couple of the slots here on a commander from the demo. When we look at the first item, you'll see it's described as basic blood clotting. Basically, the characters have been genetically enhanced so that they can automatically provide themselves with first aid. So this prevents or greatly reduces the chances of them bleeding out in the field and makes it much more likely that they can get back to the base alive. But some of the other features we have is, this is another example, so we have improved bone strength. But you'll see these two are actually quite important also. In this case, it's localized armor protecting critical parts of the character. So if you saw in some of the demo videos where there was actually a head injury for the commander, normally you would think of a headshot as being fatal. But in this case, if you have this modification, effectively you're buying what is an armored skull. So it greatly increases, well, it provides about 10 points of armor for your brain, and that makes some of those critical shots survivable, where normally they would just be a mission, well, it wouldn't even be a mission kill, it'd be just a kill. And you would be reloading from a save point or starting over, depending on what mode you're playing in. And the same thing is true with the heart. Both of those can cause extremely severe injuries, and so we provide ways to mitigate that. But the way our implant system works is there are different implants, so you can see that slot is for eyes, ears, nose. We have two slots for the brain, so you can modify two different things. This improves reaction time. Over here you can see general slot 2, that's empty. You could put in any number of things there, such as additional medical services or a general neural acceleration to further improve reaction times. Now for the torso, the arms and the legs, they each have a skin and muscle slot. So in this case, this character has the subdermal armor, which is a light under the skin armor, and all 3 skin slots. That provides decent protection against pistols. It won't do much against rifles, but for the missions where you're undercover and you're not wearing armor, those are immensely helpful. They provide ways to survive things that you would otherwise not. But for the muscle slot, there's a couple, well, so there's actually more than just those options for skin. There's heavier armor that starts to have trade-offs for visibility and detectability. We wouldn't recommend those for your primary characters, but you'll see some of the player controllable party PCs will have moderate or heavy armor in those slots, because they're designed to be taken on the missions where you're not so much worried about stealth or being undercover, and so being upfront about the fact that you're an armored tank is okay. For the muscle slots, they have strength optimizations, and you can also have separate precision. In this case, it's the precision improvement. That improves your ability to use weapons effectively. The strength one obviously improves how much you can carry, how hard you can hit. Lung slot, you could have increased lung capacity that would give you more energy. You could also have a self-sealing lung that'll protect against injuries, so you won't have to worry about as much about injuries in the field causing shortness of breath or suffocation. If you need to worry about poison, that'd be a good thing you could modify there. So the spine slot, for the characters, you can implant what I would call neural redundancy that will provide them the ability to not be completely disabled from some of these normally disabling injuries. And voice can help with charisma, can help with undercover actions. So that just gives you a brief overview. And the way we'll do character advancement, is one of the questions that came up, is while you're on each mission and you're using your skills, as you use your skills, they'll improve. Basically, it's the improve by using model. But when you return to the base, we actually have multiple training facilities set up where you can actually go and try skills. We'll also have a shortcut if you don't actually want to go through the process of playing with the skills at the base. But the idea is that when you're not on a mission and you're not healing from the previous mission, so if you come back severely wounded, you'll have less time to train at the base because you can only train while you can stand and be otherwise active. But that'll give you an opportunity to improve the skills to at least the point where they're serviceable for use in the field. The example I used earlier was you wouldn't want to try using your explosive skill or in the field, or maybe trap disarming in the field, until it was good enough that you didn't consider it likely to cause more harm than good. And so training at the base is a good way to reach that minimum bar where you consider the skill serviceable in the field. One other thing to talk about is in the genetics, there are a couple default implants that aren't listed here. One is neural imprinting. Basically, when you're frozen and initially enhanced, they do a neural copy of your brain in other important bits. So the idea is that as long as you can get your character back to the base alive, you'll be able to fully recover from whatever injuries you suffered. So that way you won't have lingering injuries from mission to mission for the enhanced characters. So I think that's everything I was going to cover. Thanks to everyone who managed to listen to all of this. And hopefully I didn't put too many people to sleep. Thanks for your time, and hopefully you'll enjoy the game.